Sonoma Train Town in Sonoma, California is a little known children's park, but I tell you one thing, for what it is, this park is actually pretty nice. For starters, it's in a beautiful location. The whole park is surrounded by trees, and the train ride takes full advantage of these views. Besides the setting, there are a couple other family-friendly attractions and a roller coaster credit for those seeking it. In this video, I'll give you all my thoughts on Sonoma Train Town and ultimately let you decide if this little park is worth stopping at while you're in Northern California. This park's history goes back to Oakland native Stanley E. Frank, who founded Sonoma Train Town. His main goal was to provide a great train ride for families and people of all ages. With this in mind, the property opened in 1968, and since that time, Grand Estate Railway enthusiasts have come to this park to experience it. Now, even after Stanley Frank's passing in 1977, his vision has continued this park into the future, and now they've added more mechanical rides. Today, the main draw is still the train ride, but they have 6 additional mechanical rides. All these are family friendly. Do not get any misinterpretations of this park. This is a children's park. Calling it a family park might even be a little bit of a stretch. Everything here can be experienced by the whole family. Now, one thing that I will give Sonoma Train Town a lot of credit for is its appearance, and it starts with the front entrance. After you park, which is free by the way, which is really nice, you see this cute little front entrance with some replica trains next to it. Where you actually walk in is pretty small. There's no real impressive entry gate here, but this park doesn't need it. In any case, you're greeted with a nice little view when you walk into the park with a fountain and a carousel off to the right. You also walk right over the train tracks, and right here at the front of the park serves as the train station for the train. If you walk in and go left, you'll find a couple interactive walkthrough attractions, a few food options, and a gift shop. Real quick, for what it's worth, I was actually pretty dang impressed by this park's gift shop. There was a lot of park-specific merch, which was really nice to see. A lot of bigger parks can learn from them. In any case though, this is pretty much all the front left corner the park has to offer. If we go back to the middle, you'll find a small pathway going near the lake. As this path winds its way, you'll find the entrances to all the mechanical rides. One interesting thing you might notice when you're walking around the ride section is the fact that none of these rides really have queues. There are sometimes spaces where a line could clearly be constructed, but I doubt on most days that's really an issue. We visited on a weekday in mid-July, and while the train rides were pretty much full and there were definitely people walking throughout the park, the mechanical rides never had any sort of line. There's also, to be fair, not very much space if they wanted to actually add queue lines here. So if you do want to experience some of the attractions, how much does it cost? Well, it's a pay-per-ride system. The train ride though functions as its own entity within the ticketing system. It costs $9.75 for a one-time ticket per person. Including the stop midway through, which we'll talk about in a little bit, the ride is about 20 minutes long. For the rest of the mechanical rides, it's $4.25 per ticket. Each ride takes 1 ticket. Depending on how many attractions you plan to ride, you can also get 5 tickets for $18.75. Interestingly, there's no unlimited wristband option. I would have thought they would have had one for $25 to $35, but that isn't the case as of 2025. While we're on the topic of rides, what rides does this small little park have? Well, I feel like we have to start with, of course, the train ride. The whole experience is about 20 minutes. The actual time you spend on the train is probably 11 to 14 minutes, but you stop at this cute little replica town halfway through. The train stops for a few minutes to allow riders to get off and explore the little town. Some of these buildings are really nicely done, featuring cute details on the inside and outside. Do watch your head though if you're on the taller side. The main draw of this stop though is the petting zoo. The main animals here are alpacas and sheep. If you or one of your kids wants to feed them, it's going to cost $0.25 every time you want to do it. All the animals were very friendly and outgoing. They clearly understood the assignment and they knew what we were here for. Getting back to the actual train ride itself though that surrounds your trip in the petting zoo, there's some really nice scenery that you get to see and you get pretty much a tour of the whole park. A couple operational/logistics notes here. Number 1 is the fact that this train is most definitely not full size, so 2 larger adults likely won't be able to sit next to each other. Number 2 is that you gotta be aware of this train's departure time. From my understanding, it leaves the station at the front of the park about every half hour. Number 3 is the somewhat interesting boarding procedure here. As I said, there's no queue, so guests just kind of stand next to the train, and when it pulls in and the previous train of riders get off, everyone just kind of gets in. Of course, you have to purchase the ticket before riding. The conductor will come down and physically punch each ticket. But don't worry, he probably won't punch you. Probably. All in all, not a bad little train ride by any means. Getting into the rest of the rides though, the star of the show, I use that term loosely, is Mine Train, the E&F Miler Kids Coaster. This ride is small, but for kiddie coasters, it's actually one of the better ones I've been on. There's something about E&F Myler's track design that kinda looks janky. I don't know what it is exactly, but this coaster, I'm happy to report, runs very smooth. There were even a few moments of slight force, a little laterals on the first drop in the back row, and for some reason I got airtime on the second drop, not exactly sure if that was designed or not. In any case, this is a really good introductory coaster for kids and enjoyable for all ages. One other thing I really appreciate is that these trains are actually very accommodating. Me and another family member that was with us are 6'3" or taller, and we had no issue sitting down in these trains, which is pretty rare for kiddie coasters, to be honest. The great thing about that is it allows parents to ride with their kids on their first roller coaster, which I think is always really great. Moving on to the flat rides, the most thrilling in terms of forces is the Scrambler. Scramblers are some of those rides that if you've done one, you've kind of done them all outside of the ones that are placed indoors. This provides the usually fun laterals as you'll get pushed to the right side of the car. If you're scared of heights, you might say that the high iron Ferris wheel is the most thrilling flat ride here. But not to worry, this Ferris wheel is on the smaller side. One thing it does do though is give really nice views of both the park around you and the surrounding area. There's so many trees around here and you get to appreciate the beauty from that aerial view. Outside of these, you have a rock and tug, a carousel, and a kids spinning ride, and another kids ride that appeared to be under construction, though I'm not totally sure about that. And just like that, we've reached the end of the ride lineup. They do have a few other attractions though. These include air hockey tables, which cost $1 to rent, and train replicas at the front of the park that you can walk through. These are completely free. For what this park is trying to do, the attraction lineup is not bad at all, though I am a little bit surprised actually, now that I think about it, that they don't have any sort of playground attraction. This is partly a surprise given the fact that this park's audience is absolutely kids. Just about everyone here had young kids with them. A few more quick operational notes. Dispatch times were fine here, no issues there, and employees were overall friendly and helpful. Now you might run into a slight issue of rotating ride operators. There could have been more instances of this, but the only time I saw it was over in the Mine Train roller coaster and the Rock and Tug flat ride. We actually got slightly lucky riding the coaster when we did because we were the last train of that cycle before she hopped over to operate the flat ride. For the majority of the summer, Sonoma Train Town is open 10 to 4 daily. Now you most certainly won't need all that time, and how much time you need slightly depends on what you want to do. If you're here simply to ride the roller coaster, to get the credit, and then get out, you won't need any more than 15 to 30 minutes. Now this park opens 10 a.m. daily, and Six Flags Discovery Kingdom is only 30 minutes away. That park often opens at 11 a.m., so it would be pretty easy to make a quick stop to ride the coaster and then go over to Discovery Kingdom for the rest of your day. That's under the assumption that you're only going to Sonoma Train Town to get the credit. If you want to ride the coaster, in addition to the train and maybe a couple of the flat rides, I would say 2 hours is a pretty fair estimate. We went through this park at a pretty leisurely pace and did 4 rides including the train, and we spent 2 hours here on the dot. So overall, do I recommend Sonoma Train Town in Sonoma, California? If you love trains or have young kids, yeah, I think it's a nice little park. If you're a coaster enthusiast and or don't have young kids, I'd be less inclined to recommend it to you. However, I do think anyone can have an enjoyable time here. It doesn't really have anything that's going to get your adrenaline going, if you will, but the park is very pretty, and I think as a theme park fan, you can enjoy it that way. It presents itself well and was overall much more enjoyable than I was expecting. So those are my thoughts on Sonoma Train Town in Sonoma, California. Do you think my thoughts on this park are fair? And if you happen to find yourself near Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, are you going to go half hour out of your way to ride the coaster and visit the place? Let me know down below. As always, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.